Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today on the Masechtas Rosh Hashana Daf Chav Daled, we are going to begin on the very top of Chav Daled with Aleph. Kama haya gavoa u'ayin haya noita. So we would be asking numerous questions to these witnesses to be able to find out whether or not they in fact saw the moon, so that we as the Beis Din are able to declare Rosh Chodesh. Tanachad l'sfona, if we learn that if one of them said it was to the north of Rav Kayamin, if they said that they saw to the south, warmer klum, then they said nothing. But we heard also the opposite. With Roima the Rav Kiyamin, with Svaina warmer klum. So which one is it? Is it that the north, if they saw in the north the sun, it's impossible, the south is a possibility, the other way around? The answer is it depends on the time of the year. Vukasha. Can be Mosachama, can be Mosachama. Depends if it's the summer months or the rainy season, the winter months. So as we know, as we're currently in the winter months, so it gets dark very, very fast. In the summer, the days are much longer. So even though we know the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, in the summer the sun sets in the north as well, northwest, which means it takes a longer amount of time for the sun to be able to go up and to go down. Of course, it's the earth that's really doing this. But in the winter, due to the short days, it sets in the south, and therefore, of course, southwest. But the idea is that depending whether it's the summer or the winter, so then the north or the south could make sense based on the fact that the sun is also is in the northern direction, and therefore it takes longer to go west, or south, and it takes a shorter amount of time for it to be able to start going west. Let's look at question one. It's the only question. Actually, there'll be one more question later. B'mosachama, in the summer with Roima. If he says, so again, when do we see be'ezet tzad shel hashemesh nimsas halavana? On what side is the sun fined by the moon? Basically, chidusha l'soina Roima. So in the summer, it's the sun's in the south. B'mosach geshamim l'sfaina. It's to its north. Okay, tell me about. Again, there's numerous mafarshim how to explain this line. Echad oimer gavoa beis mardois, ve'echad oimer gimel edos keyamis. If let's say they say, oh, it was 2 poles up. From this angle, it was 2 poles up. The other one says it was 3. That's close enough. However, echad oimer gimel, echad oimer hey, so they're really far off. Therefore, edusin batela, and therefore it's not going to be good. Avol, but start from the sacheres. We could at least combine them to other edus, as Rashi echad mehem mistarvim eid acher shir mekumosu. If a third person comes, then it's fine, because we don't know which person is maybe not telling us the truth. But it's possible this person is true. Tanabah. Reinuhu b'mayim. We saw it by the water. Says Rashi tak nahar, near the river. Reinuhu b'shoshis. We saw the reflection of this lantern. Reinuhu ba'avim, we saw in the clouds. Ein ma'id in the love. In that case, they cannot testify. That is not considered to be proper vision of seeing the moon. So therefore, it's not testimony. Chetziv b'mayim, chetziv ba'avim, chetziv eshashis, ein ma'id in the love. If they say that half of it they saw in the water, half in the moon was by the clouds, half of it was through the reflection of a lantern, also in me'id in the love. So hashda kul amrid loy, so chetzim boy. If you already said that the whole thing isn't work, so then certainly half shouldn't work. Chetzim b'mayim, chetzim b'rakia, chetzim b'avim, chetzim b'rakia, chetzim b'shashas, chetzim b'rakia in a mamidin. So it's referring to half here and half there. And again, because they're not giving the same testimony, therefore it doesn't work. Tanabah. Renuhu, we saw it. Veshuv lo renuhu. But then afterwards you didn't see it. And me'idin love, that also doesn't work. If they saw it, they would have continued to be able to see. Kol hachi chazil chazav azli. What does it mean? They have to keep seeing it. They have to see it non-stop. Doesn't seem fair. Bitmi, says Rashi. Me'achar sharuhu. Once they saw it, why can't they testify? So they have to see it forever? So Rabbi Hakakarmer, Renuhu me'ilenu. We saw it as a casual glance. Vishavnu and then we wanted to see it with intention. However, we knew we didn't see it then. So in Ma'idan Alav, my time Aimer Kuvisa De'eva Ba'almahu Dechazi. It's possible, Rashi says, Eagle shall of Lavan. It's possible that you saw the roundness of the white thick area of this star. So in other words, the fact that you saw something does not necessarily mean you saw the moon and it's a new moon. The fact that you only looked at it as a casual glance is not valid. Rosh, next Mishnah. Rosh based in Omer Mekudesh. That's how it's said. Now, bein shnir b'zmano, bein shlonir b'zmano. Mekadshei, so it doesn't make any difference. The basin is always going to be Mekadesh. Whether it's going to be a 30-day month or a 29th month. So that Rosh Chodesh would either be on the 30th day or the 31st day. Either way, the basin is Mekadesh. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Tzadok, no. If we didn't see it Bismano, then you don't have to be Mekadesh because there's no other option. Obviously, if it wasn't on the 29th, it's going to be the next day. So, weiter. Rosh based in Minahan Milay, Amar Rabbi Chibarat Bar Gamda, Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Shmuel, Amar Rabbi, Amar Kod, the Pasuk says, Vayadaber Moshe as Moadi Hashem. So, Mekan, Rosh based in Amar Kodesh. So the fact that Moshe is the one who did this, so he's like the Rosh based in, and therefore the fact that we say this tells that he's supposed to say Mekudesh. The whole Amayna Machar Mekudesh Minon. So Amarapapa Amakra Asher Tikruo Sum. That and it's a Lashon Rabbin. Karibei Atem. Osam is Atem they will do it. Rav Nachbar Yitzchak Aimer Elohim Moadoi. Haim Yomru Moadai Mekudesh. So trees in the Lamlei Dechsiv Mikroi Kodesh. The fact that it's Mikroi Kodesh, so therefore that tells you it's supposed to be said twice. V'lez Rab Tzadok Omer Imo Nir Bizmanu Im Mikachinos. Tanya Klimo Omer Bizmanu Im Mikachinos. So Shom Bizmanu Mikachinos. V'lez Rab Shimon Omer Ben Kach Avin Kach In Mikachinos. Because no, you never have to. The basin doesn't have to be Mikadosh at all. Shenemar B'Kidashtem Ish Shnasa Chamishim. That they sanctify the 50th year. Shanim Ata Mekadesh. They only have to be Mekadesh the years. You have to Mekadesh Chadashim, not months. So it doesn't make any difference. According to this opinion, basin is not Mekadesh. Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel, Halacha Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok. The halacha is like Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok. Fine. Omer Baye Avanam Tanina. Reu based in B'chol Yisrael Nechra Edim. So let's say basin season, everyone sees it. So Nechor Edom, we still interrogate the witnesses. Well, his speaker, Mekudesh, let's say we didn't have enough time to say Mekudesh, and now it's already the next day. So our Harizim Ma'uber, we say it's already a Ma'uber. Ma'uber in, Mekudesh lo. So what does that mean? It's a Ma'uber, but it cannot be, it's not Mekudesh. Ma'uber, it's Richle. Sachanimino Hoyel, Baruhu based in B'chol Yisrael, the fact that they already saw it, Yiparsima V'lui Abruha Kamashmon. You made me think the fact that they saw it, it's already 100% a 29-day month, and the 30th day is Rosh Chodesh. Everyone saw it, so it shouldn't be necessary to have to say anything. So the Chiddush is that it's an Uber. So according to this opinion, interesting. Some say you always have to be Kaddish. Some say you never. And then we have the opinion that it's Bismano ein Mekadshanos, and Rashi says Shein Sarach Chizuk, because it doesn't need to be acknowledged, because it's already, it was Bismano, it was already done in its time. Demus Surois Lavana Hoya Lol Rabbi Gamliel Batavla. So he used to have these like flashcards of different pictures of the moon. With a kaisel on his wall, Bil Yasai on his roof, on his upper floor. Shemahen Mares had Yoitas Yarmer Hakazeri Iso Kazeh. People that were not able to articulate themselves exactly what they saw, he would hold up all these cards and say, did it look like this? Did it look like this? So this is proof the importance of visual aids even back then. For Gemara, Mishari, how was he able to make pictures of moons and things like that? But the pasuk says, "Osasin niti loisasin kidmus shamasha." Shamosha, you're not allowed to make things in which are the pictures of Hashem's creations. And this is going to be question 2. There's going to be 3 answers to this question. Ma heter b'gamil shahaylo demos sora silvana lo avaral lo isasun ima lo sasun k'demus shamosha. So Omer Rabbi lo also tayra el shamoshin she'eshel lasois k'maisan. It's only things in which they could look just like the thing. Kedesanya lo yasa adam base bias tavnis heichel. You can't make a base of mikdash nowadays. You're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to build it until the Mashiach comes. It's usher. It's the Farish Gemara here. You cannot make a heichel. Ach sadra tavnis ulam chatzir keneged zara shulchan keneged shulchan nair keneged naira. So you can't make a shulchan just like it used to be in the menorah or the ulam room, which is the outer room to the kodesh. You can't do any of these things. But what could you do as we continue to Chav Dalet and Beis? There are certain things you could do. For example, shel chamisha v'shel shisha. You could make the menorah, which has 5 or 6 branches, because it just can't be a 7-branched v'shel shmoina, which is of course what we do for Hanukkah. The Chanukiah has 8. The shel shiva lo yas, you can't make it 7. The fil shel sharmini matchas, even if it's other types of metals, says Rashi. Lefi shekayotze behen kshera lifnim, because technically you could use as a menorah other metals, as it's brought down to Masechtas Menachos. The asisa menorah is klal zahav tahar prat. Miksha, it's supposed to be hardened with a hammer. Tiasa chazer kol. So we say ma klal, says a klal prat klal. Ma prat before shel matchis avkol shel mateches. So technically, a menorah could be made out of any type of metal, and therefore you cannot make a 7-branch out of metal. Rabbi Yomi Yehuda Omer Afshel Eitz Lo Yasa Kederach Shiasu Malchem Beis Chashmonoi. It cannot be made out of wood. Says Rashi, Shekayotze B'Kashera Lifnim. Rabbi Yehuda Darish LeKra B'Ribu Imute. My Rabbi Kol Mili Ma Miyad Miyad Cheres. This is brought to Menachos. This is also toward the end of Masechtas Sukkah and Daf Nun of Beis, the beginning of the 5th parak, the final parak. So it's a machlokas exactly what the menorah can be made out of. I think it's basically if you hold kal prat or you hold ribui miut. But the point is that these are things that cannot be made. Amrulo mishum raya. So you tell me this is a proof based on Beis Chashmonoi. Shvudin shel barzel hayu. They actually had metal poles inside. V'chipon b'vatz, or b'eitz, or what I should say. They covered it up with wood. So therefore, that was the problem. Not because it was made out of wood, it was because it was matechas inside. Heshiru asum shel kesem. Once they became wealthy, they made the menorah out of silver. Chazri heshiru asum shel zav, they made out of gold. The shemashin sheyef shel asos k'maisen mishari. One second. You're telling me things that cannot be duplicated is allowed? Basanya losasin niti losasin k'nemu shemoshai hamishamshin lefandi b'modoin. Things that are above. And Rabbi lo also tayra el demus arba panim bahadi hadadi. Only does not allow something which has the demus of 4 faces. Rashi says l'guf echad to one body. Ke'ein chayos hakodesh dahainu iti shekisi kavod rochel v'leihem. So there's only to be able to duplicate lamala exactly of the demus arba panim of 4 faces. It says guf echad to one body, which represented the chayas hakodesh. El miyata parts of adam l'chude tishrei. That means tell me you can make like different pictures of people, etc. Alamatanya kol parts sufais mutar, and you have to make different pictures and like statues. Chutzmin parts of adam. You don't have to make any person. It means do not make oisi me, only adam. In other words, the whole prohibition is only making a person. And the reason is people have the image of Hashem. So you can't make me, Hashem, which is like the face of man. So that's what it's referring to. The prohibition is only oisi, making something which is like a person. Anything else is allowed, but Tanya lo sasni lo sasni lo shemashai and misham shalafani b'marim going. Ofanim, Esrafim, V'chais HaKodesh, the Malchi Asharis. You can't make any like angels, angelic figures. The Rabbi will also Torah El Shemashin Shiba Madur Ha'elyoin. It's only not allowed that which is considered Dor Elyon. Rashi says B'Rakia Shvi, on the highest of the seven heavens. That is not allowed. However, says Rashi, V'cham L'van V'kachabim Mazalos, which is B'maram Hatachim, which is on the bottom of the sky, that is allowed. Right? That's the Rakia. The Rakia is not the seventh heaven. The Gemara Masechtas Chagiga discusses what are the names of the seven heavens. But the point is that you're allowed to make a picture of the moon. So he didn't do anything wrong. The Gemara says, Shema Mador Atachim Yishar, he told me you can make pictures of the sun, the moon, all these things. Osanya. So that comes to telling you that you're not allowed to even make the moon, beferish. So the question is, how is he allowed to do this? Where it says, Kitana Hahi Abdam. The Isser is to serve them, to serve the moon. That's what it's referring to. One second, Abdam, it's referring to serving the moon. I feel Shul Shakatanam. You're not allowed to serve a little worm. So what's the Chiddush by a moon? So you're right. The Sanya Asher Ba'aretz Harabos Harim V'Gavois Yamim Naharas Afikim V'Gayos and valleys Mitachas Harabos Shul Shakatam. Anything is not allowed to be worshipped, even the smallest little worm. Yeah, fine. And therefore that's true. But the whole prohibition is only worshipping them. V'Asiya Greidasim Yishari. So one second, you're telling me making them is allowed? So beferish, we finally get to the question that it's beferish that the moon is not allowed to be served. You're not allowed to make a picture of the moon. So how come we're going to do this? And we're going to get 3 answers. Shani Rugamil diacher masulo. So Rabbi Gamliel was allowed because Acher, Rashi says Nachrim did it. He wasn't the one that made it. So he was allowed. So how is that allowed? So look at Rashi, the B'chol Mili Amir Nachri Shvus. You would think maybe it's not allowed because it's a Dinda Rabbanan, it's Issa Rabbanan, but in this situation there's a Kula, Tzarech Mitzvah, etc. Ayin Taisus. For Rabbi Huda, the Acher Masulai, but when it came, Rabbi Huda, Acher made it. Yarmalei Shmuel Rabbi Huda Shinna Sami Eini Dedain. The eyes should be removed of the image of this particular ring, says Rashi. Shaisel Tsura B'Tabato. He had a ring with a picture on it. The Acher Masuas, and the Nachri made it for him. And Shmuel said that you should remove the eyes of it because Koloimer Hashke Surasu, you should destroy it. So it doesn't make any difference if a Nachri did it. It still shouldn't be allowed. Right? Says no. Chosam over there when it comes to the ring, Chosama Boile Tavi. The ring protruded outward. And Mishum Chashada, and there was a different issue of Chashad that people should not say that it's Avodah Zarah. Kedesanya Tabas Choisamai Boile. If you have a ring in which the picture protrudes outward, also Hanicha, you're not allowed to wear it. Umuter Lachtoimba, but you can actually use it as a seal. Choisamai Shaikeya, if let's say, on the other hand, it's sunken in, mutal hanicha, you are allowed to wear it. If aser lachtaimba, but in that situation, you're not allowed to use it as to sign with it. It says Rashi, Besura Aimenes Kamushihi, Chaisama Shokash, Sura Chakuka, Matachas. Basically, it doesn't have the ability, it's not like a typical signet ring in which it's boilate, so therefore it's not used for signing. So again, the reason why by the ring was an issue is because it was boilate, it protruded out. But this is just like a picture, it's not a third dimensional thing, and therefore it was allowed to have this picture of the moon because a Nachri made the picture. By he, are we really concerned that people want to think of the Avodah Zarah? By he be Kanista, there's a shul. The Shafi Yoiv Benarda, the Habib on Darta, it had this place, Darta actually is a Selam Dumus HaMelech, a picture of the king in this place. Rabbi Ayel Rabbi Shmuel B'Abu de Shmuel B'Levi Umatzli Hasam. No one said anything, even though there was a picture of the king over there. So no one said, oh, it must be like you're worshiping the king. Rabbi Shani. So Rabbi Shani, it's different when it's done by the Rabbi. There's not going to be an element of chashad. An individual, maybe he's doing it for avodah zarah, but obviously everyone else, it's not an issue, not a chashad. No, we're not going to suspect everyone of worshiping idols. We're just going to assume it's just a picture. It's no big deal. Who is an individual? So nasi who shchichi rabim gabe. Since he was a nasi, many people were by him, and therefore there's no need for no element of chashad. So the first answer is, again, the pictures was made by a nachri. The second answer is the prakim havi, that it was actually in pieces. It wasn't one whole thing, and therefore, since it was not all intact as one big thing, that's why some people say you can make a picture of a sun, but you put on the corner of the picture, you don't make the entire thing. So it's like broken up. It was doing it in order to be able to teach. It wasn't in order. It was an educational tool. You can't do it you can't make it in order to do something with it. However, if it has beneficial purposes, was salamed, then it is allowed. We're going to stop there. Question 2. So question 2 answers how was he able to make these pictures? Either nachri asulo, or the prakim havi, again it was in pieces, or l'slamed shari, it was for educational purposes. TA 8. Two answers. So he says, O cherem asulo, O slamed shani. The ish oime de prakim nami shor lasois ayin so and so. So I'm not exactly sure the rabbinic upshot that this is actually not one of the terutzim, but it seems pretty beferish. V'bois ema, it says v'bois ema de prakim hava. Okay, you have to understand how that would maybe not be a third answer. Pashut shot is the fact that it was in pieces, that is answering and addressing the original question of how is Rabbi going to make these pictures made out of looking like the moon.